Hey.
It began in a quiet room, a teenage boy, a second-hand laptop, and a voice trembling between hope and heartbreak. He wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. He was just honest. Before the world knew his name, Conan Gray poured his loneliness into songs on YouTube. Little fragments of a life marked by constant moving, a broken home, and the feeling of never belonging anywhere. His voice wasn't perfect, but it was real. It spoke the language of a generation raised online, one that hides its pain behind filters and laughter. From that lonely bedroom in Texas, his words spread like wildfire. Kids who had never met him cried to Heather, healed through the story, and found courage in Maniac. But behind the success was a boy still searching for home, still wondering if fame could ever fill the silence that raised him. How did a shy outsider, armed only with heartbreak and a camera, turn his pain into the poetry of Gen Z? This is the untold story of Conan Gray, the boy who turned his loneliness into light. Conan Lee Gray was born on December 5, 1998, in Lemon Grove, California, to a Japanese mother and an Irish father. From the beginning, his world was a mosaic of cultures and contrasts. But instead of a stable childhood, Conan's early years were defined by constant motion. His parents' marriage fell apart when he was just a child, and the family's life turned into a blur of new schools, new towns, and temporary homes. He would later describe his youth as a suitcase kind of life, always packing, always leaving. Growing up mixed race in small-town America, Conan faced both isolation and confusion. He never quite fit in. Too Asian for some, too white for others. The absence of belonging carved a quiet ache that would later echo through his songs. When his mother fell ill, music became his only comfort. He spent nights sketching in notebooks, writing lyrics, and recording covers on an old MacBook. His bedroom became his sanctuary, the only place that felt like home. While other kids played sports or joined clubs, Conan was building worlds of sound and story, one upload at a time. He didn't know it yet, but that loneliness, that constant uprooting, would become the emotional compass of his art. The boy with nowhere to belong was already learning how to speak to everyone. In high school, Conan was the quiet kid who spent his free time editing videos instead of going to parties. His classmates saw a shy boy. The internet saw something else entirely. At just 12 years old, Conan began uploading vlogs and covers to YouTube. His early videos were simple, lo-fi recordings of his life in small-town Texas, making coffee, painting, singing, existing. Yet there was something magnetic about his honesty. He didn't pretend to be perfect. He was real, vulnerable, painfully relatable. Then came Idle Town. Recorded in his bedroom with a cheap microphone and raw emotion, the song captured the bittersweet beauty of growing up and leaving everything behind. It exploded online. Millions of views, thousands of comments from kids who felt the same ache of nostalgia and loneliness. Suddenly, this boy from Georgetown, Texas, was no longer invisible. His voice had found a home in the hearts of strangers around the world. Major labels came calling. Republic Records signed him, and in 2018, he released his debut EP, Sunset Season. It wasn't just a collection of songs. It was a diary, a map of heartbreaks and hopes. Conan Gray was no longer singing from his bedroom. He was singing for a generation that finally felt heard. When Sunset Season dropped in 2018, something changed. What began as bedroom confessionals became the heartbeat of a new pop era. Songs like Idle Town and Crush Culture captured the emotional chaos of teenage life with brutal honesty. Heartbreak, confusion, self-doubt, and the desperate need to belong. But it was Maniac and Heather that turned Conan Gray from internet darling into global phenomenon. Maniac was defiant, a cathartic scream against false love and ghosting, while Heather became an anthem of quiet pain, a song about jealousy, longing, and the ache of unrequited love. Millions of fans flooded TikTok with their own stories, their own heartbreaks, using Conan's voice to say what they couldn't. By 2020, Heather was everywhere, on radios, playlists, and bedroom walls. Even global stars like BTS's V and Taylor Swift praised his songwriting. Swift herself called him the next great pop storyteller. His debut album Kid Crow hit the Billboard charts, earning critical acclaim and cementing him as one of the defining voices of Gen Z pop. World tours followed, sold-out shows in Los Angeles, London, and Tokyo. Fans sang every word, not just as listeners, but as survivors of the same emotional storms. Conan Gray had done what few could: turn vulnerability into power, sadness into sound, and pain into poetry. Yet, behind the lights and applause, the same quiet boy still lingered, searching for meaning in the noise of fame. He had conquered the world with his honesty. But fame was about to test how much truth he could survive. Fame didn't change Conan Gray overnight, but the world around him did. The internet that once embraced him began to dissect him. Every lyric, every post, every interview was analyzed, criticized, and twisted. People wanted to know everything: who he was dating, what his sexuality was, why his songs were so sad. But Conan refused to play the Hollywood game. He kept his private life locked away, saying only, "My songs say more about me than I ever will." Still, speculation became its own storm. Fans projected identities onto him, tabloids turned his lyrics into gossip, and social media, once his safe haven, became a battlefield. He was labeled mysterious, melancholic, and too emotional. Critics mocked his vulnerability, calling his music repetitive or self-indulgent. Behind the scenes, Conan was struggling with the pressure of perfection. He spoke openly about anxiety, isolation, and the mental toll of being constantly online. In interviews, he admitted feeling disconnected, like the world only loved his pain, not him. During the pandemic, the silence of quarantine magnified everything: the tour cancellations, the endless scrolling, the loneliness. It was the same sadness that had once fueled his art, now staring back at him in the mirror. The boy who once sang to escape the noise was now trapped inside it. Fame had given him everything he'd ever dreamed of, and taken away the peace he needed to enjoy it. But in that darkness, Conan began to realize something profound. To keep creating, he didn't have to be perfect. He just had to be real. The storm wasn't the end. It was the beginning of his rebirth. When the noise of fame became too much, Conan Gray did what he had always done. He turned inward, back to the place where it all began: his music. In 2022, he released Super Ache. The title said it all: a pain so deep, it almost becomes beautiful. But this wasn't the voice of a lost boy anymore. It was the confession of a young man learning to live with his scars. Each song, movies, people watching, yours, carried the same honesty that made the world love him, but now with maturity, acceptance, and clarity. Instead of running from heartbreak, he embraced it. Instead of masking his loneliness, he used it to connect with others. On stage, he smiled more. He spoke to his fans about mental health, about being kind to themselves, about surviving in a digital world that never stops demanding perfection. The boy who once sang about being invisible was now giving voice to those who still felt unseen. Through his evolution, Conan didn't reinvent himself. He revealed himself. He showed that pain can be art, and vulnerability can be power. His rebirth wasn't loud or glamorous. It was quiet, brave, and deeply human, just like his songs. Today, Conan Gray stands as more than just a pop star. He's a mirror of his generation. His songs aren't built for fame or algorithms. They're built for people who've ever felt left out, unheard, or unloved. He turned the pain of growing up, the heartbreak, confusion, and quiet moments no one saw, into a language that millions understand. From a lonely bedroom in Texas to sold-out arenas across the world, his story is proof that art born from honesty never fades. He showed that you don't need to scream to be powerful. Sometimes, a whisper can echo louder than any spotlight. Conan's legacy isn't measured in awards or chart numbers, but in the lives he's touched, the hearts he's healed, and the courage he's given to those afraid to be themselves, because in the end, his journey reminds us of one simple truth. You don't have to be fearless to inspire others. You just have to be real. The story of Conan Gray proves that even the loneliest heart can become the loudest voice in the world.